at 9:30. Welcome to the January 18, 2024 meeting of the Downtown Design Review Committee. My name is Justin Brandon. I am chair of the committee. When called on, applicants and speakers will come to the front podium to speak. Only one person at a time should come to the podium. Do not approach the podium until vacated by a previous speaker. Speak into the microphone, please, and identify yourself and provide your address for the record when you begin speaking. Address your comments, questions, and testimonies to the committee only. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. It is unnecessary to repeat testimony previously given by others. Citizens may address the committee on agenda items by responding to the chair's call for speakers during discussion on each item and signing the speaker's log on the podium. All comments must be relevant to the item. The chair or presiding officer may, in his or her discretion, prohibit a person from addressing the committee and or remove that person from council chambers if that person commits any disorderly or disruptive behavior. Please see the agenda for more information about these requirements. If you're parked in the Sheridan Walker parking garage north of John Rex Elementary School or in the Arts District parking garage south of City Hall, staff can provide parking validation for you. The agenda and documents are located at https://okc.primegov.com/public/portal. You would then select the Downtown Design Review Committee meeting and click on an agenda item, and the relevant documents will come up below the item. Keith, will you please call roll?
Brandon.
Here.
Blatt.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Sroor. Here. Schmid. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay. Item 2, the agenda, approval of minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Okay, I have a motion by Jones,
I'll second.
second by Blatt. Please vote. Okay, motion passes. Next on the agenda, item 3, cases withdrawn, we have none. Item 4, continuance requests, we have none. Item 5 on consent docket, and Laura, remind me, we need to review this or we're just...
Interesting. No, unless if somebody wants to pull it for
Okay.
discussion, we can. Otherwise, you'd be looking for a
Asking for a
motion to
motion, yep.
approve the consent document.
Okay. Anyone want to speak on this item? Do you have a motion?
Motion to approve through consent.
Okay. Jones motion.
Make a second.
Okay, Blatt second. Vote. Okay, motion passes. Okay, item 6 on the agenda, case for individual consideration. We have DTCA-23-00059 at 200 North Chartel Avenue. Laura?
Thank you. Laura Griggs, Planning Department. I remembered. So the last time we had an item on this site was the partial demolition of the mechanical room because of the fire. You might recall, this is the old jail. And so what we're going to be discussing today is a more solid means of securing the window openings, because the windows have gotten, if you drive by there, the windows have been broken. People are breaking in, they're getting in the building, they've set a lot of fires in the building. And so Public Works has researched and come up with an option that they're hoping would secure it more firmly. So I provided you a lot of the background, which I don't need to go into, on the building. And so they're proposing to remove window screens, metal windows, and plywood covers, and install metal panels with the appearance of windows. And so it kind of looks cool from the air. I think it almost looks like it's a park around the smokestack. And so this is the view from Chartel. You can see that the lower windows, I mean, the glass is totally gone because they've repeatedly been broken. The windows are also not the same on the building. They're different. As you might be aware, the upper floors were where the prisoners were housed, and those windows were totally different than, say, the first and second floor. And this is the south facade, and so you can see it has windows, it has individual panes, and some of those individual panes are gone. And then you have windows that are just totally missing. And this is the back. So this is where the partial demolition was done of the mechanical room, and there had been a connection, which is still open, on the back of the building. And so part of what you saw in the application was covering that over, that opening, as well as some doors openings. And so I did some close-ups, just so we can kind of look at the windows if you're wanting to show you that the upper floors are they're probably the iron with the individual panes on those. And then the lower ones were ones that look more like the Civic Center, the more Art Deco-y looking ones, with the two and then one long. And then you can see on the first floor that they've actually got them covered with plywood that they've painted to try to match the brick, so it doesn't really necessarily look like plywood. And then, as you're aware, across we've got the current Oklahoma County Detention Center, and we have the new municipal courts facility across the street, the Civic, so we do have some residential in that area. You have the Civic Center, and unfortunately, this was a picture that I took several months ago, so I did not have a picture because they have that addition you approved. It's been finished, so you might want to go by and look at that. And then you have the new police department. So I'm going to just go back. Let's just say I'll leave it on this one. So I do reference in the staff report that the jail is eligible for the National Register, and the nomination process has been initiated. The nomination was recommended by the city's Historic Preservation Commission and the City Council. That is still ongoing, and it's been ongoing for a time, an extended time. So it's not dead yet. It's just taking a while. And as I mentioned earlier, this vacant building continues to get broken into, and fires have been set in the building. What their Public Works is proposing, and they brought me samples that I'm going to pass around. There's two samples. One is the thicker, that's the smaller one, and then the thinner. So this is the outside edges are aluminum, and then there's a poly something or another on the inside. And it's not going to look like this. So I'm going to start one here. That's the thicker one, and then I'll look in here to the thinner one. And please be careful because the corners are sharp. So I asked them for this because this is not a material I'm familiar with.
Sure.
We normally don't deal with aluminum other than like a frame around a window or a door. It's very small. So it's called Dibond, and you can look it up. I couldn't find any examples of exactly what we're proposing to do. There was a really cool one where they used that product at a church, and they made it look like it was a stained glass window with an arch on the top, and it looked really cool. So it's being used for a lot of different things. A lot of them are, they're putting murals, different artwork on them and putting them up, and actually using them almost like freestanding type things for art installations. The intent is to duplicate the Art Deco windows from the Civic Center, which is really similar to what those first floor windows and the second floor windows are. And they feel that would help it fit in with the area. So the one thing I wanted to point out in your packet, on a sheet they provided, which was A101, the attachment detail. And I discussed this with Public Works. We typically do not support doing anything other than fastening through the mortar when it's masonry of any type or stone. However, Public Works had indicated that that would not secure that firmly enough to the window. So we understand the need to secure the building, but we're concerned about the potential damage to the masonry material. In the interest of seeing this significant building secured successfully, because the last thing we want is for it to burn down because it keeps getting broken into, staff supports the application as submitted. because I think of utmost importance is getting this building secured. And so we're recommending approval of the application. We have a representative here from the Public Works Department, Jim Llewellyn. If you have any questions, or you might have questions for me, you know, I don't think this is a material that has been used anywhere on a city project yet. So this will be, you know, this is a learning process, and hopefully this works great, and they'll be able to use it in other instances as well.
Okay.
And it's not a cheap, so it's not that they're looking for the cheapest solution, because that's not how they landed on this product.
Any questions for Laura? Has there been any, and maybe the applicant can speak to this, has there been any other kind of mode of trying to secure this building other than this option? Have they discussed any other options with staff?
We had some discussions. One of the discussions was fencing it, but they would need a really tall fence.
Yep.
And part of this is a front yard fence. And so even if they did decorative metal, the tallest fence is 6 foot tall. They could go to 8 foot on the sides, but fencing, you know, is not, would not do what they're wanting it to do. I mean, they've had some temporary fencing up to try to keep people away from the building. Obviously, we wouldn't want something that with barbed wire or electric or anything like that at all at this location. And I think if you put a fence around it, it would really draw attention to it more. Especially the Chartel frontage. I mean, that's the long frontage. So yes, we did discuss that. You know, they obviously have tried plywood, which you can see how that looks.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody wants to see this building with all the openings covered in plywood.
Yep.
They
They-
have also,
yeah.
I was just going to say, they have also cleaned up a lot of the landscape around the building that was creating, you know, easy places to hide.
Sure.
So I think that's been another step toward trying to keep it secure.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so, and that's one thing I guess I should have mentioned. I had a coworker, thank you, Keith, who went out for me the end of last week when I was trying to pull this together, and I was looking for pictures. So I have picked, this is the north facade, and it was like a jungle, and you really couldn't see the first 2.5 floors, which meant people could get in there and they could hide. It was easier for them to break in because nobody could see them. And so they've cleaned that out of there, so you actually do, you can see. Anybody driving by can see if, oh, that's somebody breaking in, or, you know. And so hopefully that's also going to help. But
Yeah.
hopefully I answered that question.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Okay. The applicant like to speak on this item? If there are any questions or?
Jim Llewellyn, Public Works Department. Yeah, we've been trying to secure this building for a long time, and it doesn't matter so far what we do, we still manage to break in. And like I said, we've done some research, and it looks like this is the best option for securing those windows and having it still look like a occupied building instead of something abandoned.
Sure. Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
No, I would like to say I appreciate you guys trying to, one, figure out a way in order to secure the building. Second is to come up with something that does not detract away from the other buildings, and more importantly, look like it's a boarded up building. I hope it works.
We do too.
I'll make a motion that we approve the application on the basis that the project complies with the regulations and guidelines of the Downtown Design District zoning ordinance as referenced in section C and D of the staff report.
Okay, motion by Jones,
I'll second.
Platt second. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, appreciate it.
Jim, could I just say one thing? The fasteners, they've noted corrosion-resistant fasteners. You might consider asking them to do a pop rivet, something that you can't unscrew from the outside on the ground floor. So if
Yeah,
we're trying
these
to...
are going to be secure fasteners.
Okay.
I think the ones they're going to use, you have to have a special tool to be able to access them. And, you know, just the discussion about the attaching to the brick and the mortar, because of the building's age, the mortar's deteriorated to the point where we'd never be able to get a secure bond or link to that, so we're gonna have to go into the brick. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next for individual consideration is DTCA-23-00068, Part 2 at 101 North Broadway Avenue. I don't think I've
Thank
ever
you.
had a Part 2 on here.
Yes, so part one was the stuff I could do administratively on this. This was formerly the Bank First building before they bought the Cotter Ranch Tower and redid it. And if you haven't been by, the change by just putting the blue glass on the outside of that building is, it looks like a totally different building. And so you've probably been reading articles about this building. It's historically been a bank, and it is now being converted into the Harlow, and it will have apartments and amenities for those apartments. In addition to the building at the north end of this block, which you don't have to see anything on, but it's also part of the Harlow project, and it is being converted from an office building to apartments. So we're kind of excited. We've got that going on downtown. This is before you today because the sign that they want to put a blade sign. You can see from this picture, which is a Google Earth photo, Bank First had this really strange, squatty-looking blade sign on the corner. In your packet, and I should have put that in my presentation, but in your packet was a historic photo that the applicant provided. I don't know what oh, there it is, Katie's got it, thanks. I don't know what year this is from, but you can see that at one point it had a blade sign that literally went from the top of the building down to the middle of the second floor, which is significantly bigger than the one that they're proposing. And so they're kind of, trying to go back to that. And when you see the design of what they're proposing, it is not detracting from the building at all. It's probably less than half the size. They're asking for just a little over 232 square feet. It's a very interesting project. I'm looking forward to it being finished. I've seen a lot of things in other cities in the United States where they're converting office buildings into residential downtown because of all the vacant office. So that's exciting as well. So other than that, part one is actually under administrative approval reports.
Okay.
So if you had a chance to look at that, part of that covered removing all of the existing signs because they're already gone, but we needed to capture them. They're changing all the awnings. They're going to have, they will have signage on the awnings. There's some windows that they have to change, but they're going to look like the historic windows that are on it. There's the ATM machine was removed, and it's set up, and they're able to put a door there. So they're going to put a door there that's on the south, and that's going to go into where the bicycles are going to be stored for the tenants of the building. So all of that, most of that stuff that I'm talking about was all in part one. So if you have any questions for me, I do have a representative from the architecture firm here, but it's only on your agenda. We had no issues because it's 100 square feet or larger, and those have to come
Sure.
to you.
Any questions for staff? Okay, do the applicant wish to speak on this item?
Hi, I'm John Sentner with Tradesman Architecture, 500 North Broadway. We're asking for a very nice sign to go back in place of where historically we've had a blade sign since the 40s. This would be the fourth blade sign in its location. We really feel we have precedent. We feel we've met several times with the State Historic Preservation Office. They're on board. We are working through some attachment details with NPS right now. But other than that, we feel this would be a great addition to our project.
Okay, any questions for the applicant? Okay,
Didn't want to rush it this time. I felt bad that Eric still had a question. So I'll make a motion to approve the application on the basis that the project complies with the regulations and guidelines of the Downtown Design District zoning ordinance as referenced in section C of the staff report.
Okay, motion by Jones. Sotero second. Okay,
Thank
motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7, other business. Sounds like we have a presentation by Mr. Halsey.
Yes, let me pull this up. You don't have these very often, but
Yeah. Oh, will do. Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Holsey. I'm with Holsey Company. And I would like, here, I'm going to go ahead and start off on
there.
first timers. All right. The site plan here that's at North Francis. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this property, but it's a long lot. It's about 190 feet deep, and we're proposing to do 18 units, as you see here. It'd be one building. We're just going to kind of create a little bit of a pass-through. We were going to put the front doors on the north side to kind of give this aesthetic. And as I was talking with Laura, the biggest kind of concern was how do we feel about, which would be the west side there, facing Francis, and kind of creating that aesthetic of how do we make it fit in with the community and not feel like it's just the side of a building. So I kind of came up with something that I came across over in Rosemary Beach. There's these windows and these columns, and I just felt like it would complement the community and, you know, fit in and not just look like a blank canvas on the side there along Francis, but then still give us that fun aesthetic of this north-facing facade. So as you drive by, you can kind of see the blocking, and then of course the side would have those windows and a little bit of that kind of that block feel.
So this is just about a half block south of 10th.
Yep, so you have
Yeah.
the apartments to the north on 10th.
Yes.
Well, across 10th.
Across
But
10th, yes.
immediately across the alley, it's medical, it's some
Yeah,
office stuff.
It kind of surrounds a bunch of office buildings, you know, businesses, and then directly to the east on the other side of Francis is Tim Hughes's townhouse project.
Maybe to the west.
Then as you go down to the south, you start seeing, you know, more residential coming in, pretty much all residential at that
So I
point.
was explaining to Scott that there's a guideline about front doors being on the street. So what's unusual about this is this lot is surrounded by 3 alleys. And then the street is on the west side, and that's a short side. And so what you can see here, and
That
it-
no, I'm sorry. Yeah,
So
I didn't mean to cut
You're
you off.
west of the clinic of Oklahoma.
Yes, yeah.
right, and so there's the bottom street is 9th, and as you go forward on the east side, there's a new house, then there's a duplex, then there's the alley that runs on the south side of this, and immediately on the east side of this property is that, I can't say that word, rheumatic disease office. It's separated by another alley, there's a short north-south alley, and then you can see the east-west alley on the north is actually in. And so that would be where the front doors would be for the property. But we've been discussing various options to try and get the feel that you're wanting from the streetscape and, you know, the inviting feel and everything, which is a little difficult when it's going to be facing to the north. And so I suggested that he share some ideas with you and see about getting some feedback, because you guys would probably also have some ideas.
Also, we're getting, you know, at this point, we'd be, you know, pretty much committed to this project and trying to create something and getting it approved. You know, moving forward, we're trying to create as many units. We're proposing 18 units. We'd like to try to stick to that to kind of make the cost of the land and getting into there. But so that's why came today just to get feedback on feasibility as we move forward with making this obviously an active project in our pipeline.
So you have 18 parking spots to the north and south off of both alleyways
Yes.
with two essentially.
Front door, back doors, north, south side.
Yep.
So we'll kind of create something with our floor plan, with our bedrooms, maybe an entrance for the people that you know, if they're parking on the back side, maybe they come in through one of their bedrooms if they want to make that an option as well. But obviously utilizing as much of this and those alleyways for our parking areas, and we have a parking spot for every bedroom, which is always a big thing for me, is that making sure that the street doesn't get congested.
Sure.
It's already a little snug, especially during construction. I'm not sure how many are familiar, but I have a project on 8th and Francis as a townhouse that we have 9 units there, and you know, we've felt the feeling of having contractors and the homeowners there. As you know, we've been working through that project. We're finishing up, and obviously the neighbors will have their street back. So, but
And that project is an urban design project. It's in Cottage. So one of you would be more familiar with that area, because this is really close to the Cottage dividing line, which happens to be the alley between 8th and 9th.
yeah,
And so that area, it actually,
still
except for
feels a part of it.
setbacks,
Yeah.
it has a similar feel throughout the whole area when you
Yeah.
drive in through
Yeah.
there.
So that's just the biggest thing, as I want to make sure that we fit with the community as you go into, you know, the boundaries of the Cottage District.
Can we go back to, do you have floor plan?
Yes.
Okay.
So on our unit there closest to Francis, I plan to flip it to put the stairs on the other side, lining the exterior wall with as many windows as possible. But from there, you know, just kind of a simple floor plan of 2-bedroom options, you know, just under 1,100 square feet each unit.
So the images that you're showing, they're not images of what you're planning to design or build. They are concept images of,
Yes.
we want to open the entire, we want to open the units from a front porch standpoint to the north to an alley. We want to open the units from a bedroom access to the south. And then on the west side, you want to be able to put an elevation that has no entrance. That's the
Yes.
real question.
East and west sides will have no interest, but just cosmetically, you know, something architecturally appealing to the community as they see it driving by it.
And Laura, that's the issue, since it's not the floor plan, it's the fact that we would be, the guideline or the regulation, the guideline
It's a guideline.
is that the front door should be on Francis.
On Francis.
For this site, and we're looking to be creative and come up with a solution where the front doors are not on Francis. That's the
Correct.
question.
Correct, that's the biggest thing.
Done
Now, obviously,
sensitively.
we don't want a blank wall.
Yeah.
Yes,
Which-
I think done sensitively, with real care and purpose for all 4 elevations. Opening to the north is not something that I would take exception to. Opening to the north and
Okay,
south
you're
is
open
not
to-
something I'd take exception, I'd be fine with
Okay,
it, yeah.
okay, great, yeah. I mean, we're just trying to work with the land that we're given, that it's obviously long, you know, it's much more, I mean, if you put front doors on Francis, now you're starting to choke down to where
Sure.
you've really got 4 units, you
Right.
know, with a lot of unused space.
I do think there is care with the final plan, with the final elevations, when that comes before us. I think that's where the conversation we'll have about how does it look.
Yeah.
But just the question of, on this site, can we open north and south? I think there's a solution there to be uncovered.
Great.
Thoughts? Yeah, I would just say if you're going to create units that enter from the north or the south, and you have an opportunity on Francis, you might have a higher value unit that faces west that creates new opportunities for daylighting, entrances, things like that, that you have a special end condition that could address Laura's concern, but also could provide more value for that unit for you, so.
Higher rates.
Yeah, I would echo Eric's sentiment. I would think that your most desired condo would be the one that faces Francis. So that would, when you maximize that kind of east facade
Yeah,
with some lighting or
Yeah.
natural light from
Yeah.
windows, I think that would look
Yeah.
really great. I think that'd probably be your first sell.
yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, that's a condensed version, and we'd be having a flat roof with units on the roof, you know, just to keep the exterior as clean as possible. But you know, I'll be pushing for, you know, the greatest use for the community, you know, cosmetically, because like, you know, like our project on 8th, we care about, you know, how the rest of the neighbors feel about that community, and it's special to even be a part of the Cottage District, to even have done a project in there. So, you know, obviously I wanted to come today and just see about the actual layout, having doors on the north and the south side. And then from there, I told Laura, this is, you know, that's totally acceptable to say, we'll work this thing until everybody feels that we've got something that's gonna be a nice piece of the community, so.
Yeah, now immediately to the west is all, north
Dumpsters
of the
and
alley is all vacant, all that stuff has been torn down, but south of the alley is, there's 4 units that are still under construction, aren't they, or are they done?
Yeah, yes, no, they're under construction.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then at the corner down at 9th and Francis on the southwest corner was kind of it was an oversized lot. It wasn't 25 foot wide, it was wider than that has been split into 3 lots, and there's going to be 3 houses built on a very, very small lots, but it's the kind of density that, you know, we would expect downtown. And so there's a lot of building going on in that area, as well as his project down on 8th.
Okay.
that one on the corner that she's speaking of, there's 3 units, and I haven't seen quite the exterior rendering of that, but I'm assuming that they may have a door along Francis and then a door along,
Oh, you're talking about the houses?
yeah, the 3
No.
houses? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that's the
Well,
one.
no, because those 3, all their access is on the north facade.
It is
So-
on the north
Yeah,
facade?
so they're all from
Interesting.
9th,
Alright. Yeah.
if I remember
Oh,
correctly. And-
oh, yeah,
And they
okay,
have
that's what I would
garages.
assume.
Yeah, so they're 3 stories, you know,
Yeah.
because they have garages on the first floor. But there's a lot of building going on. The lots are filling up in that area. I've gotten a lot of calls on this over time. It's just people were trying to figure out, it's so long, what the heck can I do with it?
And here we are.
Yep.
Well, you found a solution, so I think
Well,
go
I
for it.
appreciate that.
I would
Yeah.
say, if you want to try and tie into the community or give back to the community, think very strongly about your landscaping, your street trees, your interaction on that facade.
Yeah.
So if all the front doors are off of alleys, that's your prerogative, it's your land, go for it. But
Yeah.
how you interact with the rest of the city could be your olive branch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, you're thinking 2 stories, right?
Yeah, 2 stories, yeah,
Which is the minimum,
yeah,
they can do 2 stories here.
wonderful.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Good to see
Appreciate it.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Okay, next up we have communications.
So, one that I'll talk about, because there's one on there and you're like, oh my gosh, I have a whole page of addresses. That is the Broadway, grab this again. North Broadway Streetscape Project. It has been appealed. So you see the original one, which was number 2, and then you see the revision, which was number 3, and that revision was, after discussing with the property owner that appealed, and to address his concerns, some of the project was removed. But we still have the appeal out there, and hopefully we'll get that solved. And that is hopefully starting soon, which will address some of the issues we have with the intersections being so wide and pedestrians trying to get across the street without getting taken out by a vehicle. And hopefully this will be the last time we have to go in on Broadway to do a project, because we've had, I think, 3 maybe over the last 7, 8 years already. Let's see, if we had anything else. Well, part 1 of the project, we just did the sign for, so you could see the specifics of all of the other stuff. They're actually doing an outdoor space, which will be kind of cool. It's kind of tucked in, now that we have a tall building next to it, it's kind of tucked in on the west side, so they're creating this outdoor space, which doesn't exist now for the tenants. And yeah, the last one, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with ITM machines. I had to look it up. I kept wanting to call it an ATM machine. I'm like, what's the difference? It's a video connection is the difference. So they're putting one up in Myriad Gardens, just in case you need to do your banking. You can go to Myriad Gardens with Tinker. And other than that, that's those items that are on there. And then that kind of just morphs into the next one, staff comments. I'll be doing a quorum call as I look at the projects and see where we're headed with some of them, just as to make sure we have enough healthy people to have a meeting. And Katie, did you have anything? No? Okay.
Okay. Any comments from committee members? Okay. Our next regular meeting is Thursday, February 15th, 2024. New applications were to be submitted to staff by 4 p.m. on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. Revisions and information on continued projects to be submitted by January 23rd, 2024. And if that's it, we're adjourned.
Thank you.